All right, so excited right now to have one of the most exciting young guns to be coming up through the ranks at the Mariners joining me right now. It's Max Balard. How's it going, man?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for having me.
Dude, and appreciate you taking the time out to join me for a chat. Let's first of all start off with, it's probably in most recent memory for Mariners fans, and I'm sure for yourself as well, the FFA Cup game, of course, on last Saturday in Mudgee. What were your thoughts on the game overall? What did you take out of the game? Of course, you had a really solid stint in the game. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was a great game. Blacktown were very good. Also, they defended very well. We definitely had our chances to bury the game early, I guess, and even like make the scoreline even bigger than it was. But they were very impressive, and their goalkeeper had a great game also. But I was happy with how the team was gelling. We're getting some good combinations going through, and it was just the final product at the end. We just couldn't quite get the goal, and then I was really happy for Benny, especially. I'm half French myself, actually, so I've got on quite well with Benny, and I was really happy to see him get his goal on debut and things like that. So I was really happy for him.
Brilliant, brilliant. And funnily enough, I'm glad you brought up the French thing because I was gonna ask this at the end, but I of course I ran down and grabbed a quick selfie with Benny after the game because I had to, because of course scoring on debut. And I remember seeing you walking along with Benny along the touchline, and I could see you talking French. It's like, Max Ballard speaks French. What's this? Yeah, and I was gonna ask what the stories behind that. So you're half French, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So both my parents are French, and
Right.
my dad used to play rugby quite a bit, and he got an injury while playing in France, and his coach told him to come to Australia to like for the off season, and it was the season in Australia, and so he came to Australia, and then he never went back, and he told my mum to come over, and that was it. And yeah, so I was just grew up speaking French at home and stuff like that, and so having Benny come over was good to help him like transition into here. And his English is getting a lot better every day too, so I'm really happy for him.
Brilliant. There you go. So I guess you're sort of the French translator at the Central Coast Mariners now. Hey, brilliant stuff. Hey, let's go back to the early stages of your career, going back from a young age and how you first got into football. It's always interesting hearing, how professional footballers first got started. Was football something that you fell in love with from a young age?
Well, my dad was a rugby player, so he probably pushed me for a bit of rugby. But my mum preferred the less violent sport of football, and I got into it. I was pretty young, probably like 5 years old. But I was living in Malaysia at the time when I first started, and yeah, I was just grew up playing, and then I've lived in a number of countries in Asia growing up through my dad's job, just following him. And so ended up in like Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Dubai, and just continued playing football wherever I went, and I loved it, and just kept going. And when I came back, yeah, it was just kept following football, and it's been great for me. I'm really happy for it.
Nice, man. Yeah. And we are stoked to have you at the Mariners and, really excited for sort of your future here at the club as well. So let's talk about your time at the Central Coast Mariners so far. And of course, you made a couple of appearances last season. And it was interesting actually going back because I mean, the mainly bench appearances, but I didn't actually realize this, but the two sort of big appearances you made were both against Melbourne City, who, of course,
Yeah,
as we know, were absolutely dominant last year. So that's certainly a big test to be thrown to the deep end. I remember specifically you made that second half bench appearance when we played City at home, and a lot of fans were really impressed just with that cameo appearance there. And then, of course, later on the season, you started in the middle of the park away to Melbourne City, and that was a tough game, of course, playing down there away to them. But what was your experience? Your first season, making your debut. Talk us through that experience. Being integrated into the first in the first team squad for that last year.
yeah. So like Monty and Sergio were in the youth team, and I was in the youth team setup pretty much for a long time, and they helped me a lot. Like they've taught me so much about football and put me in a great pathway. And so I was just training with them, and then eventually got an opportunity to train with the first team with Stadge, and uh, took my chance, I guess, a little bit, and just kept training with them. Ended up staying throughout I arrived like midway through preseason and just stayed with them throughout the season. And then eventually made my debut against MacArthur, which I was really proud of. MacArthur away, and Yeah, it was a really proud moment for me and my family, and I was really thankful for all the help that the club has given me and the opportunity that they gave me to play. And then, yeah, my big, like, longer appearances on the field were against Melbourne City, which were very fun. And the first one was amazing. It was Simo's 200th appearance, I'm pretty sure, and he had an amazing game. And Danny De Silva scored a
Mm,
late bomb to
great play.
make it 3-2. And so it was just amazing feeling being on the field at the time then. And then Melbourne City away for my starting debut. That was a very tough game. They're very good at home, and but I hope we can change, and I'm sure we can change the result when we go there this week. I mean, this season.
For sure, man, for sure. And that sort of segues nicely into this upcoming season. And, looking at the Mariners midfield, of course, we lost Gianni Stensness, who was such a key player for us last year. And, a lot of the talk around Mariners fans talking about who are we going to sort of see line up for the Mariners. It's always exciting to sort of, speculate. Of course, Ollie Bozanic is a real leader in the middle of the park. And, a lot of people have talked about you potentially pairing up with him. And we did see you guys, of course, teaming up in the middle of the park in the FFA Cup game on the weekend. What are your sort of expectations for this season, knowing that you could potentially be having a bigger role in the side? Obviously, it's up to Monty in the end to decide who starts each week. But do you feel like you're with the experience that you did get last season? Are you ready for this upcoming campaign to really become elevated into the first team squad?
Yeah, I'm really excited to potentially have the chance to play a lot more minutes than I did last season, and I believe that I believe I do have the ability, but I know it'll take a lot of hard work. And having Ollie next to me, and even other players in the club, like Harry Steele, Nizzy, all these other boys that are pushing me in the midfield, and I'm improving every day. And learning from Ollie is amazing. He's such a great player with such amazing experience that I'm just grateful to be there, and I'm very hopeful that I'll get a good chance this season. And I hope I can make all the Mariners fans really proud and push to as far as we can, and I'm sure we have a good shot of winning this thing this season.
Hopefully, and it's exciting to hear the players talk like that too, and hearing the optimism. There's seems to be a lot of optimism around the club heading into this new season. And yeah, actually, I was actually going to mention playing alongside Ollie. I shared a post on my Instagram story yesterday. One of the Instagram pages we're talking about. A lot of people do talk about Ollie being the best centre midfielder in the league in Australia at the moment, and I think that's a fair shout. Just the leadership that he brings. So, what is it like for you being a young player playing alongside, this guy who has played at a World Cup for Australia?
Yeah.
And on top of that as well, your head coach now is arguably the greatest defensive midfielder we've seen in Mariners history, Nick Montgomery. So fantastic people to be bringing you up. What's that like? What are some things that maybe you've learned and picked up from those two guys?
Monty, I've always learned that hard work will get you where you want to be, and he's always pushed that in me since he's joined the club. And I have a funny story with Ollie because I went away in, I think, 2019 in January with Australian schoolboys to the UK, and we ended up going to watch one of the Hearts game in Scotland. And after the game, Ollie Bozanic came and took a photo with us, and I've actually got the photo on my phone. And there's like a young version of me, and then to be fair, like I knew of Ollie Bozanic and all that, and then when I heard he was joining the club, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. What are the odds of this? Like we had a
Oh,
photo
so
like in 2019, and now he's at the club and playing alongside him. It's amazing. It's really, really cool. I really enjoy it.
Oh, that's brilliant, man. That's so good. And hopefully we can see the two of you, create a really solid partnership in the center of the park this season. Let's talk as well, of course, about upcoming this weekend. It's an exciting time. It's been a long preseason, but round one is finally here. It's the F3 Derby. It's obviously a huge game for everyone involved for both clubs. What's your expectations heading into this game? Newcastle Jets struggled last year, but have strengthened really, really well. Are we going there expecting a tough battle? Are we going there for the 3 points? From a player's point of view, what's your expectations for this F3 Derby?
I mean, no matter what the opponent, I think with Monty and all the players that we have, we all have the belief, and even Sergio, we all have the belief that we're going for 3 points no matter what game it is. And so that's a first. And then we know it's a battle always, the derby. You got to expect those. And with the experience we have, like with Simo and Marco, Ollie, all these players, they help all the young boys understand how important this game is, especially the first game of the season. And we want to start off on the right foot and get ahead. And I believe we do have the qualities. And I know Newcastle did sign a lot of players recently to strengthen the squad, but I do believe we have the qualities to go out there and put a really good performance and get the win. I believe so.
For sure. And moving into the season overall, I'd love to ask sort of what are some maybe are there certain players in the squad? You know, we've got a few new guys that are sort of unfamiliar to football fans in Australia, and Benny and Sai and you know Maresh, who has recently arrived as well. Yeah, are there any particular players, you know, in particular, or even some of the young guys coming through? I know you mentioned Harry Steele before. Who are some players that you think we should be watching out for this season?
One that I have a really like, what I believe is amazing is Jacob Farrell. He's a great young player on the left back. I played with him in the youth team and thought he was quality. He's not a very loud player, but he does his job, and it's amazing how well he does it. So I believe he's a very big one. I'm sure Harry Steele's a great player, and played with him in the youth team also. We have a lot of players from the youth team that have come up, and I'm really happy for that too. And the yeah, Benny, classy left foot. Sai, you don't even know which foot he is. He does some magic on the field, and uh, all these young players, and even those that are experienced. I'm sure, like Nikolai didn't have the greatest season, say last season, because he didn't have the opportunity. But I'm sure he'll turn it up this season. He's been amazing for us, and I'm sure he'll be one to watch also.
Yeah. And what's the expectations overall for where we can finish this season? You know, I asked, you know, chatted to Noah Smith a few weeks ago and asked him a similar question, but interested to see, you know, we're right on the doorstep of kickoff of the season now. It's real and it's actually happening. What's the feeling amongst the lads? You know, do we have expectations to potentially finish towards the top of the ladder this season?
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot, and I believe I don't know exactly how the saying goes, but like if you say it, it will happen. Pretty much,
Mm.
like you speak it into existence, and so I'm a big believer in that. And so I believe like my goal in my head is to come first. There's nothing less than first at this point, and all the boys know that we've talked about it, and we said if we're not trying to go first, then what's the point of rocking up every day? And so we know that we're going for first, and that's where we're aiming on the ladder.
Dude, so good. And again, as fans, so good to hear that. So we can't wait for this season. And just one final question as well. Just you personally, for your career moving forward, you know, you're a young player, got a huge career ahead of you. What are some goals that you'd love to achieve, or potentially maybe some areas that you feel like you want to work on moving forward? What sort of player do you want to become in the future?
Uh, my goal personally is to become one of the most renowned players, like center midfielders in the league. And I believe I just need to game time and be able to perform when I do have that game time. And that's one of my biggest goal is to make sure that I'm a renowned player within the league in terms of the midfield position, and that when you think of midfielders at the moment, you're thinking Oli Bozanic and maybe Bratton and players like that. And I would like my name to be in there. That's my personal goal. So it's a big goal, but I believe with hard work, it can be achieved.
Dude, and as you said, you speak it into existence. That's the thing.
Exactly.
So hopefully, you know, fingers crossed that this is a huge breakout season for you. I know a lot of Mariners fans are really excited to see yourself and a lot of the young lads coming through, you know, break into this first team and, you know, help hopefully carry our side to success. So, Max, once again, thanks for coming on Coastwood Football today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.